Good evening, everybody. It's Thursday, and John's on the line. Let's go! Thursday with John! Thursday with John! Turn it up, don't stop! Thursday with John! Keep it loud, we're on air tonight! Thursday with John! Thursday with John! Shake the room, slam the door! Thursday with John! And we want one more!
All right, welcome everyone to Thursdays with John. Maybe Thursday evening, but it's still Thursday, so it counts. Here's kind of what I want to show you today, and really next week also we're going to kind of continue this. Maybe it'll become like a little mini series for us. But I want to talk to you guys about views, because if you're going to work in ClickUp proper, not in the agent, you'll hurt my feelings deeply. No, you won't hurt my feelings deeply. Whatever works for you is whatever works for you. But if you're going to work in ClickUp proper, it can be really overwhelming really fast. And finding the stuff you need to know can be difficult. We've seen that. And for many of you, Sarah set up a basic view for you, showing you all your tasks and due dates and whatever, when she first got you set up on ClickUp. But I know a few people have been like, I pushed a button at one point and I have no idea what button I pushed, and now half my stuff's gone. I don't know how to fix it. So we're going to show you how to make a basic list today. And then next week, we'll dive into some of the other view types and go from there. So to create our view, what we're going to do is we're going to go here and I'm in the campaigns and events, and I'm going to click this plus view, and it's going to ask me what kind of view do I want. And these are all your options for things you can do. It's a lot. So today we're just going to stick with list. Very simple, kind of like the most basic way of looking at your stuff. Okay, and it builds our list. It asks us for a name, so we will name it Thursdays with John 1. You could name yours whatever you want, of course. Now, before we go any farther, I'm going to pause and beg you to think back to our video about hidden tasks. And remember that right now, all we're seeing is the very tippy top parent task. And so there could be stuff hidden underneath there that we want to see that we don't see yet. So we go over here to our menu of how subtasks are organized. Subtasks is a weird word to say. We click on that, and we're going to go down to separate. Now that means for the moment, our ClickUp list here has gotten even more overwhelming, because now it's even longer, because every single little tiny itty bitty task is here. I mean, we're not even out of the completed ones. Let's go back up here to the top. Let's go back into our settings, and let's see if we can't get this thing under control. So you're going to go over here and hit the little gear. It says customize your view settings. It's exactly what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is wrap text. That way, if we get a bunch of columns going, we can still see what everything says. I'm a wrap text person. Maybe you're not. That's a personal preference. I'm going to skip show task locations, because all that is it's going to tell you if you're in campaign and events or individual projects. If you're doing a view on everything, that might be useful, but for what we're doing today, not so useful. So we're going to skip task locations and go to show subtask parent names. Now this is useful. So I will turn that on, and you'll notice above each subtask now, like this one says research workflow templates assigned to Sarah. Oh, and it's a page proof setup. Okay, so it gives you some context. You can see above each thing what it's all about. Here's one for Rebecca, RFI form on new webpage. Well, what new webpage? Oh, the OLL webpage, right? I mean, you kind of see what we're doing. Let me see, in more options, we don't need close tasks. That's not important to us. So we're back to our menu here. Now we're going to start to get into where we can see what we want to see and not what we don't want to see. So right now, if I close our menu, we're seeing our tasks and then 3 additional fields. We're seeing assignee, due date, and priority. So let's start working on that and get rid of some things here and add some things that are useful. So if you click on, sorry, I should have narrated that. I'm on fields here. If you click on that, it brings up every possible field we could have. So at the top, obviously, are the ones that we've checked. I'm going to turn off priority because we don't use priority. It's not useful to us. And then as you go down here, you can see everything you might want to know. every little field that is available. So let's see, what could we put on here that might be useful? If you want to actually see the status, instead of just having them grouped by status, that might be really useful if we're going to group this in a different way. And I'll show you that in a second. Task ID, not terribly useful. But one that is not showing up on here right now that I think is very useful is work category. And so I just searched for work category because it's buried underneath all the custom fields and everything. And we'll turn that one on. Okay, so now we come here and we look at this and we've got even more knowledge. We're actually just making this thing even more unwieldy and more overwhelming. But we're doing that so that we can pare it down. So as you can see, we've got our tasks, we've got who they're assigned to, due date, their status, and their work category. Okie dokie. So now let's start actually making this useful. So the first thing we're going to do to make it useful is add filters. So that's these little 3 lines that get smaller and smaller. We're going to click that. Now, one of the first filters I almost always apply is status is, and we're going to make that active. Okay, so what that does right off the bat is it gets rid of all the completed tasks and everything, right? It gets the stuff that we don't need to worry about out of the way. Now, maybe you want a view of to show what's everything I got accomplished. Then you would maybe do the opposite and do status is instead of active. Let's do done. Turn active off. Okay, that's just going to show us everything that's done. So we could drill that down. But let's keep going on our active. That's like I said, that's usually the one I do. Turn active on, done off. Okay. Let's add another filter now. Now, when we start adding filters, the first thing that is going to be an issue is it's going to ask, do you want these filters to stack on top of each other or kind of live side by side? What I mean by that, if we say and, right? So that means I'm going to say work category is open and it's assigned to me and it's due in the next 7 days, right? As opposed to work category is open or in progress or assigned to me. I don't care what the status is. You kind of get the difference there, I hope. Most of the time I use and. It gets a little squirrely sometimes, though, so it can be a little daunting. I'll show you an example here. So we're going to do and one of the first ones that usually gets done is assignee is, and we will say me. Ta-da! All right, we've already gotten rid of all the stuff that's done. We got rid of everybody else's stuff. Now it's just mine. Okay, this is getting better. We're getting somewhere. Now, I want to add a filter that the due date is in the next 7 days. So in the next week, what do I need to get done? Okay, and you'll notice I have 4 things I need to get done. Okay, well, that's not so bad. But you'll also notice if I get rid of our filter here, there's nothing here that is past due. And I can tell you right now, as my confessional to all of you, I certainly do have things past due, but it's not showing up. So here's what you can do. You can kind of think about this a couple of different ways. You could just call this your next week due list and move on with it. And then you can make another list just like this one that's your past due list. And there's nothing wrong with that. Instead, come down here and say overdue. Okay? Now it's going to show me all my overdue stuff. Everyone gasp in horror at all my overdue stuff. But I can't do both. And I'll show you why. Because when I do both, stuff that's due the next 7 days and overdue. So it can't be due in the next 7 days and overdue. That doesn't make sense. One task can't be both. Therefore, it is showing me nothing. I wish we could throw an or on there, but once you select and up here, it's always and. So we got to go back. And let me kind of show you how we can maybe go back. Okay, so we're starting off here with our next 7 days view, right? Due date is next 7 days. And we're going to add a nested filter under that. So we're filtering the filter, okay? And check this out. We click on this. Now we can select and or again. Yay. Let's say or due date is overdue. I keep looking for past due instead of overdue. Now I have both everything that's due in the next week and all of my overdue stuff. Everyone gasp in horror yet again. That's your most basic, what's coming up for me kind of view, right? This is, I think, again, I think this is what Sarah set up for most all of you already. Okay, everyone, Editor John here. I am realizing this is now a 10-minute video, and I went a good while longer still. So I'm going to go ahead and break it up and make this into a two-parter, and then we'll have a third part in a couple of weeks. So there we go. Yay! All right, so thank you guys so much. Hope you have a great weekend. Look forward to seeing how you all are using this in the future. Other than that, I will see you later, and bye!